Hello everybody, it's Ashley Rhianne. Thank you so much for joining me today for about a 37-minute workout. We're going to be using some light hand weights today, so if you've got those, you can pull them out. You can also use things like bottles of wine, some tins of food, whatever you have at home that you can incorporate into your practice today. We're going to be focusing on some upper body work with a really small little blast of some core. So we're going to start in a nice long sitting position, just making sure that you pull your muscle out from underneath those sit bones, sitting up nice and tall. And when you're ready, take a nice deep breath in. We're going to draw those shoulders all the way up to the ears, feeling that nice glide in the scapula. And on the exhale, we're going to press those shoulders down. So we're working on elevation and depression of the shoulder blades here. So just getting a little bit of mobility in the upper spine, in the upper body. Just making sure, as always, that we're moving with the breath, trying to focus on really big, long movements here, just to get all those muscles warmed up and actually just adding some mobility to the sequence. We're going to come into some more scapular work, so we're going to work in protraction and retraction. So let's start with protraction here. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. We're going to reach those arms forward, think about lengthening through those fingertips, and on the exhale, just sliding the shoulder blades back to our neutral position. Inhale, we're going to round to the upper spine as we reach those arms forward, and then exhale, just finding that neutral position. Shoulder blades are just settling on the back. Inhale to round forward, reach, reach, reach. And exhale, finding that neutral position. Lovely. Let's come into retraction. So let's pull the shoulder blades back and down, opening through the chest and finding that neutral. So one thing to really pay attention to when doing retraction is that we're not trying to create any back cleavage. We want to focus on drawing the shoulder blades back and down so that we're really opening through the collarbone and the front part of that chest. All right, let's incorporate both of those movements now. So when you're ready, we're going to inhale. We're going to reach those arms forward, coming to that scapular protraction. And on the exhale, let's draw the shoulder blades back and down, opening through the chest in that retraction. Inhale to lengthen. And exhale. Let's open through that chest. Wake up that back line of the body. And again. And let's do one more time, reaching those arms forward and drawing those shoulder blades back. Lovely. We're going to transition into some more sitting work. So we're going to come into what's called a mermaid pose. So we're just going to have our legs stacked in a nice little side sitting position. You're going to have one hand on the floor. In this place, I'm going to have my left hand on the floor. I'm going to reach my right arm above my head, shoulder blades down. We're going to draw the left ribs to hips as we come into that nice little side bend here. And coming to sit all the way up. And again, we're going to float the arm right above as we come into that beautiful side bend. So pressing into that hand on the floor, trying to make sure that we pull that shoulder back away from the ears, trying to open up through the whole side body here. Side bends are super important. I also want you to really focus on driving those sit bones in towards the floor. So even though one is going to be slightly elevated away, just feeling really grounded through the pelvis and the hips here. And let's just hold it here. Let's keep bending into that side. Lovely. And let's just do a nice reciprocal bend just to reset the spine. Always thinking about drawing the ribs towards the hips on that side bend and extending through the opposite side, really seeking length. Let's switch sides. And let's just roll the shoulders back. And when you're ready, let's draw the upper arm up, coming into that opposite side bend here. You might find that one side is a little bit more stiff than the other. Obviously, totally normal. And let's side bend, pressing that hand on the floor, trying to reach through that whole lengthening side to that upper arm. It's a really beautiful place to get some reciprocal work here. One side is contracting, the other side is lengthening. And let's do one more. And we're just going to hang out here just for an extra little moment, trying to seek that length and that contraction in that side body. Lovely. And let's just do a reciprocal side bend just to offset that work. All right, let's roll out those shoulders and let's come into sitting a nice cross-legged position. We're going to continue with some back mobility work here, focusing on rotation. So what we're going to do is take a nice deep breath in to prepare. And exhale. Let's rotate over the left shoulder. The right hand comes into the knee. The right sit bone comes into the floor. Let's inhale right through center. Exhale. Bring the left hand to the right knee, driving that left sit bone right into that floor. So we're always twisting with the breath. Inhale right through center. And exhale, trying to keep that spine nice and long as we transition from side to side. We want to really maximize the amount of space between our ribs and the hips so that we have more room to twist. Every time we do this, again, trying to get a little bit deeper. Let's interlace those fingers. We're going to take a nice deep breath in. And on the exhale, we're going to sit behind those sit bones. Let's press those arms forward, really rounding through that spine. Let your head drop. Inhale, we're going to swim those arms, clasp them together behind the back, and exhale, we're going to shine the chest forward and up. If you can drop your head back to open through the front body, that feels really great. And again, transitioning right through centered, press those arms forward, sit behind those sit bones, swim those arms around, and let's shine that chest forward and up. And if it's safe for your neck, to drop back, opening right through that neck. Lovely. Trying to really breathe into those back ribs as much as possible. The stretch feels amazing. I love this whole sequence so much, especially in the morning. It just really gets my body prepared for the day ahead. All right, we're all done. Now it's time to get working. We're going to transition onto all fours. We're going to stay here for the next set of exercises. We're going to come into our cat and cow. So when you're ready, we're going to take a nice deep breath in. We're going to really unfurl that spine, let the torso shine forward, the head lifts up, and on the exhale, scoop through the belly, draw those ribs together, rounding through the whole back line. And inhale, we're going to unfurl that spine. There's that slight little tip in the tailbone as that movement comes all the way to the crown of the head, and on the exhale, rounding up like a cat, really pressing away from the floor with the hands and the feet to create a bit more of a dynamic contraction here. So we're going to just keep coming in and out. If you want to stay in one position just to stretch a little bit longer, please feel free. This is your practice. And let's just finish here. Let's roll the shoulder blades back. Let's reset that spine. We're going to come into tail wags. So when you're ready, on the inhale, we're going to draw those right ribs towards those hips, pressing into both hands, really trying to focus on bringing those ribs towards those hips as much as possible. Exhale, right through center. Inhale, let's bring those left ribs towards those hips, pressing again into those hands, especially into that right hand. And exhale back to center. I really love working my side bends in this position. I just find that I'm able to get a little bit deeper into it. And because I've got the hands on the floor, I can use my own body weight to really press into the stretch to help open up through the ribs and through the thoracic spine. All right, we're gonna get into some core. So let's tuck the toes under. Let's reset that scapula. All right, we're gonna pull the lower belly in. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath in, pressing through the toes, through the hands. We're gonna float those knees about 2 inches off of the floor, trying to really keep a neutral spine in the back. Keep drawing the belly button in away from your t-shirt. Keep your eye gaze just down on the floor in front of you. I want you to think about like you've got 2 martini glasses on either sides of those hips. All right, let's drop those knees. Let's roll out those wrists. We're going to do it again. So let's make sure that those hands are right underneath the shoulders. Slight bend in the elbows. Reset the scapula. When you're ready, take a nice deep breath in and exhale. We're going to float those knees right off the floor. Again, this is a position where you want to actively be pushing yourself away from the floor so that you've got that active engagement through the upper body. Keep pulling the belly button in away from your t-shirt. Big smile on your face. We're almost done. And let's bring those knees down. Excellent. Let's roll out those wrists. All right, we're going to do something a little bit different here. So let's just walk your hands in front of your shoulders a little bit more so that they're not lined underneath. We're going to do the same thing here. So when you're ready, roll the shoulders blades back, and we're going to float those knees right off of the floor. We're going to hinge forward so that our nose is coming just past our fingers, and then using your abdominals, we're going to pull ourselves back into that tabletop position. So if this is a lot for your wrists, you can actually do this on your elbows. And you can kind of come into what's called a sawback position here. Make sure that you have that micro bend in the elbows, that the inner arms are drawing in towards each other. And again, try to pretend that you've got those martini glasses on those hips, just so that you're not moving from the pelvis. Lovely. All right, let's sit back in our shell stretch. You can flip your palms up to face the ceiling just to release any tension in the wrists and the hands. And taking a nice deep breath in to quiet the breathing, settle the heart rate. And let's cat all the way back up onto all fours, and we're going to keep our feet flat. So just reset the spine, pull the scapula down the back just to open the collarbones, and we're going to walk our hands so that they're underneath our nose or our forehead. We're going to take a nice deep breath in, and we're going to bend at the elbow, sending the forearms towards the floor, and exhale, pressing up. So we're doing 3 different types of tricep work here. So as we progress the exercise, please just find the exercise that works best for you and your body. If you're building up strength, it's probably good to stick with these first 2. Just make sure when you're doing these exercises that you're pressing your weight in your hands equally so that you're not shifting your weight over towards your pinky side or putting too much weight on the heel of the hand. We want to feel this across the entire palm region. And we're going to shift our weight forward now. So let's lift up our bottom legs. You can cross at the ankles. You're going to walk your knees just slightly out from behind your hips. And we're going to keep continuing with this, so trying to send the chest a little bit closer to the floor as you bend those elbows. Again, this would be a level 1 progression, so if this is too much for you, please just stick with the first exercise and just keep sticking with us through this. And let's reset. Let's just roll out those wrists, shake out those arms. If you need to do a quick cat and cow stretch, please feel free. You can come into a shell stretch if you want to reset the spine. All right, we're going into the next level here. So we're going to actually come into a plank on our knees. So we're going to draw those ribs together, and same thing here. So we're going to really focus on bending those elbows. Those elbows are coming to a 45 degrees angle to the corners of the room behind you. Trying to keep that chest nice and wide. Also make sure with your pelvis that you're in that imprinted position, so you're always pulling that pubic bone up towards the nose to lengthen the entire spine, especially that long tailbone, so that we're not dropping into the hips or letting those abdominals go. And let's come back to our level 1. Challenge yourself a little bit here. Doing a nice little combination of all of these exercises. So again, please modify as you need to. And let's come back into our level 2. Pressing down and up. And again. You're going to probably start to feel this tricep burn if you haven't already. It's going to catch up pretty quick, making sure that we're breathing, so we just want to exhale on that exertion. And let's sit back. Let's flip those palms over, come back into that shell stretch. Good work. We're just going to stay here for a few breaths, just slowing the breathing rate down, stretching out the back. Just enjoy this really nice stretch. It's nice to surrender sometimes in these positions. And let's come up. Good, I hope you're feeling good. All right, we're gonna go into the weight component of the upper body work. So you can grab onto your light weights if you've got toning balls, cans of beans or soup, or if you've got bottles of wine, now's the time to grab them. We're going to go into a classical Pilates exercise called offering, and you can do this in a few different positions. You can sit cross-legged on the ground, you can sit on those heels, or I like to hover myself just a little bit off of my heels just so that I'm getting a little bit of glute work as well. We're going to flip the palms forward, we're going to bend the elbows back, we're going to keep those ribs drawing in towards each other. We're going to inhale to prepare, and exhale, we're going to scoop down and up, just coming slightly just above the shoulders. As we inhale, we're going to just bring those elbows back behind us. And again, the movement is down, forward, and up. So I always like to tell my students it's almost like a dump truck or a big kind of scooper coming down, digging down into the earth and coming forward and up. Try to keep your eye gaze right in front of you. And again, if this gets too much for your hips or for your balance, you can just sit back on those heels, or again, you could sit on a yoga block or on a pillow, totally up to you. Just really focusing on that beautiful extension, and let's just stay up. We're going to do little pulses coming down to about shoulder height and just pulsing up towards the ceiling, feeling that nice stretch through the entire arm line, and let's draw it back in. Beautiful. Scoop it forward. Now from here, we're going to open to the side, so you still want to be able to see those weights in your peripheral vision, and pull it back down. So again, we're going to scoop down, forward, and up, and then we're going to open with the thumb line, closing with that pinky line, and drawing back to our starting position. So when you open those arms to the side, make sure that you can still see them in your peripheral vision, that you're not opening too wide, because that way you might actually start to pop through the chest and lose that upper abdominal connection. All right, we're going to keep the arms up, and we're just going to work this abduction and adduction here. So we're going to open those arms, and we're going to squeeze them together. So no matter what weights you have, you should start to feel this pretty quick. So we've got gravity pulling on our arms, and we're just trying to really fire up that internal muscle energy here that Pilates uses. Great, and let's take it down. Do a nice little reset, whatever you need to do. Flop those wrists, roll those shoulders, stretch out those arms. Amazing, good work. So I'm just going to come and face you. We're going to continue with this exercise. So again, depending on what you want to do in terms of if you want to be kneeling, if you want to be sitting on the ground, totally up to you. But we're going to continue with the offering, but we're going to add some rotation here. So as you open the arm to the side, we're going to rotate our trunk only to the side, pulling it back towards the hip in a teardrop shaped formation here. So our eyes are going to follow our hands, and then we're going to actively pull that weight back towards our hip and reset. So what's really great about doing this in sitting is that the hips are not going to get involved. You're going to really be able to work through the torso, through that rib cage, get that nice little bit of rotation, get the obliques involved. And let's do one more here. Lovely. Let's change sides. So let's reset on the left side, and when you're ready, repeat everything on the left. And let's just do one more time on the left. Lovely. And coming back in. We're going to switch back over towards the right. We're going to make a nice cactus arm with that right arm. So the elbow and the shoulder in the same line, and then we're just going to bring that lower arm down. We're going to flex at the wrist, take a nice deep breath in, and press that weight forward. As we pull back, we want to focus on that scapula doing the work to help retract that elbow, bringing the hand almost in line with that shoulder as we press it forward. When we press forward, really working through the front part of the chest and really stretching through the armpit. Really powering up here. This is a really great isolated place to work that scapula. Let's get into a little bit of rotation here. So I've just sat up a little bit higher on my knees. Again, just to activate my quad and also my glutes. And as we draw that elbow behind us, we're going to rotate. So our eyes are going to follow that elbow, and then we rotate to face the front. It's good to add these little movements in our workouts as much as we can, because we don't actually do a lot of rotation in our day-to-day life. Great, and let's repeat everything over on the left. Again, making sure to pull that shoulder blade down and close those ribs in front. Again, like always, to activate those abdominals. And let's do one more rotation here. Great. We're going to grab onto both weights. We're going to come into a chest fly. So if you want to continue working in this kneeling position, you can feel free to do it with me. If you want to lie down on your back, or if you have another position that you like to work in, you can take that position. I'm going to just sit back into my hips, and we're going to really fire up through those glutes, draw those ribs together. And when you're ready, inhale to prepare, and exhale, we're going to open those arms, spread those wings out to the side. Inhale to draw those hands back together, and exhale to spread those wings. So depending on your shoulder mobility and your strength, you can tailor this exercise to opening your arms as much as you would like to, or as much as you're able to. Again, this is a really strong back exercise, so if your back muscles are a little bit weak, you can take these weights out and just do it with your hands. Another good replacement for weights would be to actually just have a resistance band to pull. Lovely. We're going to go into our W pulls here. So I'm just going to face you for the moment just so you can see my position. So we're going to be actively drawing the elbows back in towards our torso. When you're ready, we're going to Superman them forward and pull them back in towards the bottom part of our scapula here. So we're getting that nice stretch and then that active pull back. Again, really focusing on pulling that belly button in away from our t-shirt. Inhale to pull back and exhale to stretch those arms nice and long. This is also a really great exercise to do on your stomach. All right, let's keep pulsing that W pull. Pulse it in and in and in. Good work. And let's just take it out. Let's just roll the shoulder blades back. This one can get a little bit of tension accumulation in the back, so just reset as you need to. And let's grab our weights. We're going to reset. We're going to go right into our bicep curls here. So again, you are using lighter weights, so make sure that you're really charging up through that muscle energy. So really focusing on each contraction as you bend those elbows, bringing those weights towards those ears, and then extending. Try to keep your elbows the same height as the shoulders, and again, drawing those ribs together. You're doing great. And let's just hold that 90 degrees angle with the arms, and we're gonna now lift those arms straight up and then pull them back down so that those elbows are still the same height as the shoulders. We're working here through that scapula. We're also working just underneath those armpits, front line of that chest. So trying to maintain that 90 degrees angle as much as possible, and just raising it up a few inches. This one sneaks up on you quickly, so take a rest if you need to. And let's go back to those bicep curls. You're gonna feel the burn here. Keep going. It's a deadly little combo for sure. And let's finish up with these bicep curls. And we can just drop those weights. Let's get through a really nice stretch to that back body. So clasp the hands together, open through the chest. You can lift the head and the neck if you like. Just feeling that nice opening through the front body. And we're going to reverse that. So we're going to press those hands forward, scoop through the belly, around through that spine. Perfect. Let's transition into a high kneeling position here. We're going to come into what's called hug a tree. So we're going to open those arms right to the side. So it's like we're hugging a barrel. Shoulder blades are down. When you're ready, you're going to draw those knuckles together and we're going to open. So we always want to make sure that we're moving those hands within the peripheral vision. So when we open those arms wide, we can still see those weights in the corners of our eyes. Really pressing those hands together, working through the chest, and then as we open, we want to keep the back line really wide. We never want to retract the shoulder blades, again, creating that back cleavage. So think about trying to spread the scapula apart opposed to drawing them together. And let's just find that little half range open. And so we're going to come in halfway and then continuing opening to the side, keeping that little bit of air in the armpits, underneath those elbows, keeping that rounded position. Perfect. And let's just reset the shoulders, roll it out. And when you're ready, let's grab those weights. We're going to go into an exercise called salute. This is a really popular exercise to do on the reformer. So we're really going to hinge at the hips, sending the weight into those hips, draw those ribs together. We're going to form like a little diamond or a little triangle with the weight right at the forehead. We're going to do a set of 5 and then we're going to switch the hands. So when you're ready, you're just going to press those arms right in front and keeping those elbows nice and wide, again pulling the weight back towards the forehead. So really focusing on that kind of shorter range here, trying to keep that length in the arms as you press those arms nice and long. Again, using the shoulder blades and those elbows to really pull it back. Let's switch the hands. So we'll have the opposite hand in front. And let's finish here. We're going to go into a little combination here. So we're going to do some biceps and some triceps. So let's flex the elbows. We're going to come into a kickback with the arms to work that triceps and then bend the elbows, press those arms into that Superman, bend the elbows and kick back with the triceps. So we've got 3 different movements here. So we're working through the upper back, through the scapula, through the biceps and the triceps. Again, we're hinging forward at the hips, so we're sending a lot of weight into those heels, a lot of weight into those glutes and those hamstrings. And of course, as always, knitting those ribs together to keep those upper abdominals nice and contracted, always pulling the belly button in away from the t-shirt as well. And let's do one more, and what we're going to do is do some tricep presses. So when you're ready, we're going to lengthen those arms, slide the shoulder blades back, and we're just going to press up and down. So a few inches up towards the ceiling. So the palms are facing up, you're holding that weight, holding a can of beans, whatever you have in your hand. You can also use nothing and just use your own body resistance. And we're working from the front part of that hip to behind the hip, really getting into the whole tricep line. You can play with this, you can make a few big ones, you can pulse a little bit smaller, totally up to you. I like to do little short range pulses at the very top. For me, this feels really good and really fires up my triceps. But again, as always, just work within what's best for you and your body. If you'd rather do full range, just stick with that. Good work, everybody. That was a lot for the upper body. I can really feel it into my back and my shoulders and my chest. Holy cow, it's intense, I know. So props to you, props to me, we did it. Let's just come and lay on our back. So let's just come and reset. So draw the knees into chest. Let's move side to side. If you want to get into your neck, you can turn your head from side to side. Just waking up and resetting the whole spinal line. Let's roll out our feet. You can flex and point. And when you're ready, let's place those weights down by our side because we're not totally done yet. We're going to do some bridge work here, and we're going to do some dynamic bridge work and then some isometric bridge work. So what we're going to do is find your neutral spine, so that heavy tailbone, those back ribs, that small little space behind your lower back. Take a nice deep breath in. We're going to articulate through the entire spine, coming into imprint, and then we're going to peel each vertebra off of the floor, coming into our bridge. So we've got one nice long line from the tops of the ears all the way down towards the chin, and bending first at between the shoulder blades, rolling all the way down, finding that neutral spine. Inhale to prepare, and then tuck through the pelvis, press through all four corners of the feet as we scoop and we roll all the way up. Again, seeking that nice long line from the knees all the way down towards the chin, drawing those ribs together, really feeling that activation with that back body, softening between the shoulder blades and rolling all the way back down again. We're going to inhale to prepare, find those four corners of the feet, and exhale, we're going to tuck and we're going to roll all the way up, pressing into the palms of the hands. We're going to just work from the hips. So we're going to lower those hips about 2 inches down and then pressing up. So we want to really just hover our tailbone off of that floor. We want to focus on bending right at the hip crease so that we're really engaging those lower abdominals and then firing up to press through those glutes and those hamstrings. Making sure that also we're really connected with our feet and our hands. Draw those ribs together, scoop that lower belly. Okay, we're gonna come into the isometric work I was telling you about. Let's grab those weights. We're gonna have those arms bent out to the side. Take a nice deep breath in. On the exhale, we're gonna press those arms and the hands are gonna meet in the center. So we're gonna come into that row-like position here. The elbows can touch the floor and we do wanna actively draw those weights towards each other at the top, and then as we open, we bend the elbows and we return. If at any point this gets to be too intense, please take a break. All right, let's rotate the palms. We're going to come into that chest fly now. So the palms are facing in. We're keeping a micro bend in those arms. So I like to think of the arms almost being like an umbrella shape. This is also the same movement that we did for Hug a Tree. And let's come to some triceps. So we're going to bend the elbows, send the weights right over the forehead, and then pressing all the way up. So the upper part of the arm does not move. We're just hinging right from the elbow, pressing up and then bending to press. And let's do one more tricep extension here. All right, we're gonna come back with those arms so that they're just above the shoulders and coming back into that hip crease fold, sending those hips closer towards the floor, squeezing those glutes as we press up. There's been a lot of stabilizing work happening in the lower body, so this is gonna probably feel pretty intense. So again, just modify as you need. And let's roll all the way down, finding our imprint, and coming back to our neutral. Let's bring those hands down by the side. Bring those knees in towards the chest to reset that spine, rolling side to side. You can move your head side to side if you like. We're going to go into some core work here. So when you're ready, we're going to bring our legs back into tabletop. We're going to bring one of those weights and we're going to pop them just on top of the knees. So you can either just have them nestle kind of right underneath the kneecap, or you can pop them just kind of between the legs. We're going to interlace our fingers and place our heavy head in our hands. We want to be in an imprinted spine here, so thinking about that small little lift of that tailbone. We're going to move right from the hips and we're going to draw those legs away from our body, and on the exhale we're going to use our lower abdominals to bring our legs back into tabletop. So we're really working from the hinging motion of those hips, tapping into those deep abdominal muscles. Try your best not to let this get into the hip flexors, which it might want to do. If that happens, then just shorten your range here. Now, if you can, we're going to add an additional challenge by coming into our level 2, so bringing our ribs towards our hips and holding our upper abdominal curl as we do this. So we always want to think about gently pressing the back of the head into those hands, just so that we keep that little chin tuck, to make sure that we're not, leading with that chin or stressing the neck. We want to really keep drawing those ribs towards each other and just holding in this nice stable position. We're working our upper abdominals as well as our lower abdominals. We're going to stay in this extended position, so keeping the upper abdominal curl and that nice little length through the lower abdominals, so the knees are away from our body, and we're just going to hold it here, and let's release. Fantastic. We're done with those weights now, so you can pop them to the side. However, we're not done with our core work yet. So when you're ready, let's place our hands down by our side, nice long neck. We're going to look right over those knees, bring those legs back into tabletop, draw those ribs together, and we're going to stay in that imprinted spine, and we're going to go into our single leg toe taps. So we want to always think about leading from the lower abdominals, not the hip flexors. So again, if you're feeling those hip flexors engaging, please shorten your range. I have a really great video on my YouTube channel talking about how to engage the lower abs as opposed to the hip flexors. So please feel free to go check that out. And we want to just work on that nice hinging sensation. So this is going to be our level 1. Of course, if you want to bring your head in your hands for level 2, please feel free. And let's just finish up to these single toe taps. We're going to come into double leg. And I'm going to come into a level 2 position. So with my head in my hands. So again, making sure that we draw those ribs towards those hips. We're hinging right from the hips. So really connecting through the lower abdominals. If this is where those hip flexors really start to kick in, you can either just think about kind of just moving those legs away like we did when we had those weights, or just shortening your range so that you're not touching the floor. You can also place something like a yoga block or a stack of books or something, a foam roller on the floor so that you're not going all the way down. Good. Let's reset. Let's draw those knees into chest. Get a nice stretch through the side. Beautiful. And we're going to come up into sitting. We're almost done. So let's do a little bit of stretching. So we're going to stretch out the arms. So when you're ready, let's cross your arm right across your chest. Have a little bit of pressure on that elbow. And you can look in the direction of that shoulder. And again, let's change to the other side. Just releasing some of that work in the upper body we did with the weights. And we'll come to behind our head, so stretching out our triceps. Again, a little bit of pressure or traction on that elbow. Really think about driving those sit bones into the floor, and we can switch sides. And let's stretch out our back. So let's bring those hands in front of the chest, interlace, and really get into the back body, scooping through the ribs and the tummy. And now let's extend the spine forward as we reach those arms back. It feels so nice to reset everything. And let's just do some nice deep breaths. So let's close our eyes, hands on your knees. Take a nice full deep breath in, filling up those ribs in all 3 directions. And blowing out through pursed lips. Thank you so much for your practice today. I appreciate you so much. I hope that this was helpful. I hope you've got some new exercises to add to your arsenal, and I hope to see you all again soon. Thanks again. Don't forget to subscribe, like, share, and bye for now.